In this video, I'm going to show you how to punish early queen attacks. So rule number one, do not attack recklessly. You might just say, it might be very annoying to see this queen here, but don't play moves like g6 to just attack recklessly because you get brutally punished. Just for example, your opponent can just take here on e5, and after you defend, yeah, your rook is scored. You're already losing according to the evaluation value. Opponent already has a +4 advantage, so you shouldn't let your opponent. You think that you might be able to recover here, but I guess not, because after you take, then king to d1 is quite a brutal move, which is the top engine line by Stockfish, so that won't be good. So definitely you shouldn't just attack aimlessly. Instead, just be patient. You should play a move like knight to c6 first, protecting your pawn. Remember, the queen is targeting these two pawns, and that's the whole reason. And the most common move after this is usually bishop to c4. And most of you might just be like, now I can now attack the queen. This pawn is defended after all. Let me just play knight to f6. Then you realize that you fell for the trap. It's checkmate. And the game is already over. Most of you are like, but you said that you should attack aimlessly. Now, knight to f6 is actually a pretty good move because this pawn is defended. You forgot to defend the pawn here. And now your opponent will just like I gave him a fool's mate. And I absolutely won the game. So you shouldn't give your opponent a chance like that. Instead, in this position, we should first block off the attack. But you're just saying, why block off? Can my opponent just run away with the queen? It doesn't matter. You can just play moves like knight to f6. The reason why I played knight to f6 is because if you play a dumb move like this, you'll get mated, bro. So definitely shouldn't. So the best move is knight to f6, defending this pawn indirectly. But yeah, you're just blocking the queen's passageway to the pawn. So definitely that is a good thing. So in this position, after knight to f6, if your opponent plays queen to b3, which is a common move, remember, your opponent usually wants this pawn. If your opponent plays queen to h5, it means that usually wants pawn and your opponent is not going to give up. So what do you play here? For beginners, I recommend queen to, yeah, sorry, queen to e7. That's the move that I recommend for beginners. But why did you click on this video? To punish, right? So you punish. Play knight to d4. And in this position might just look like your opponent can still take. Yes, that's the correct thing. Even though the queen is attacked, might look like your opponent can still take. And after that, get away with it. But if you've forgotten about pawn to b5, yes, this move is possible. This pawn is backed up by the knight. And the queen has got no square that is safe. Which means that the queen can either just come back here or play the move king to b4 check, and you get your bishop, and the deal is sealed. And you're already threatening a fork, by the way. So definitely it would be a good move to give a check, but most of your opponents are just going to give the stupid check and maybe drop it. So you'll be already winning. So that's one way to punish if your opponent tries to force me to. So okay, let's go back to the queen h5 position. And here, after knight to c6, your opponent might just play knight to c3. What do you play here? Just now prepare your knight. Remember, the queen can no longer strike this or this because they are all defended by a piece. It means that you can now attack the queen. And if the queen draws back to h3, then good for you. g5. And if the queen goes to f3, there are two moves. If you're a beginner, I recommend the move bishop to g4. But if you're like me and you really want to kill your opponent, because you can punish, it might be a very good move, but it's not as effective as knight to d4. Because after knight to d4, Opponent goes into the corner. Then you take here in the center. And now this pawn is now covering in. And you notice after d3, you can just bring out your bishop and you trade off. Then you bring back your bishop. And here in this position, the reason why black is completely winning or you are completely winning is that you have got many moves. After this, you're just going to bring out your bishop, then you castle. And the thing is this pawn is weak, this king is weak, and you'll be completely winning. Okay, let's look at another alternative move here. So in this position, you can also play this bishop, and you now have one, two, three minor pieces versus one piece developed. And that's a good advantage for you because after a few moves, you can actually, I forgot to tell you, if your opponent moves to e3, which might be a mistake or a mouse slip, or a move that some double opponents can do, you can just fork. So it's a pretty advantageous position. So that's another way. And if your opponent moves here, you still play the move. And don't worry about this knight coming to the center. You can surprise your opponent. You take this pawn. If your opponent takes the bishop, then you just take the knight. Good for you because your pieces are active. It's two minor pieces versus one queen. So definitely you'll be winning. But it's not always the case in a perfect world. Sometimes your opponent can take this pawn. You just take back, and after your opponent takes the bishop, you still have the advantage. But the reason why the advantage is not too big is because the queen is no longer on a very active square anymore. You're still completely winning. So that's how you punish an early queen attack. You just have to understand that you have to develop your pieces and give them tempo and attack. So that's the whole importance. So okay, let's now go back to the situation. There's actually a move that you can play which is knight f6, but you're just wondering, ain't I just giving away free pawn? Yes, but it's compensation for development, so it's okay. That's the reason why the engine hasn't even flinched a bit, still on equal, because after a few moves you're going to actually notice if opponent just plays a normal move like g3, you can actually develop your knight. And it's now three minor pieces, and your opponent doesn't even have one. That's why the advantage is growing. And the more mistakes that your opponent makes, here the top engine line is d5 because this bishop has to come out. You're opening space for the bishop. And here you might just think my opponent just got this move, but after knight to g4, well, I don't think your opponent will be interested in playing that. So definitely your opponent won't be interested in playing that. So okay. So here, let's just say opponent takes. What do you play? You just take back. You're just saying that pawn on g7 is gone, but bishop to f6 is an amazing move. Now your bishop covers a whole powerful scope and is attacking the queen at the same time. So after the queen flees, you're just going to give a check. And if you see the maneuvering here, you're just going to be attacking all sorts of squares. Now you're attacking, threatening a fork. And if your opponent is defending a fork, and now your bishop is out. And this piece is now attacked here, here, here. And I bet that there's no way to defend it except maybe bring the queen here. But still, the best move is the best move. The best move is knight takes e2, knight takes e2. Then we actually have the move bishop to g5. Man, this is a pretty deadly attack, more than I thought. And after queen to d1, you actually see bishop takes c1, rook takes c1, then knight to f4. So can you see the pressure mount up? what I can tell you is that this knight is a goner. There is no more backup to protect the knight, and you're absolutely winning. So you can easily punish this. And remember, it doesn't matter if you lose pawns as long as you develop. That's how to punish an early queen attack. So if you're interested in how to punish the king's gambit, click on the video showing up on your screen right now. See you in the next video.